Right then, so we're going to begin a brand new unit of reading on an amazing book that's won loads of book awards called The Island at the End of Everything. It's by a wonderful woman called Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Now today we're going to be starting with the cold task. So you know that a cold task is your opportunity to have a go at answering questions linked to each of the content domains. So today you're going to read the initial extract from the book. The book, as I've said before, is The Island at the End of Everything. After reading the extract, it's the first extract from the book, so the first words from the prologue, you're going to complete the cold task. So there are a lot of questions, and so this cold task is being split over 4 days. Each video will give you the chance to look at the questions, and then there'll also be a chance for you to pause it whilst you do your work, and then I'll explain all of the answers. So we'll talk through why we've got that answer, just as we would if you were at school. The cold task includes questions from all of the content domains that you've previously covered. Use your knowledge of how to answer these questions today, so you know that if it is 2A, we are thinking about the meaning of words in context. So you know that when we do that, we think of, can I think of any synonyms? Or, what does the rest of the sentence tell me about what that word means? You know that 2B is instant retrieval, finding and copying. So you're not writing in your own words, you are literally picking something up and writing it down. So please do read the question types really carefully. Over the course of the unit, we'll be working from this extract. So we'll be going back to the editing, improving our cold task and exploring. Obviously, as I said, today we're going to talk through the answers to those questions. Right then, so this is what your document looks like. You can see there are 4 there. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, there's another piece of work on analysing the front cover. Unlike normal test situations, I'm going to read these questions aloud so that then you can hear it, and then we will talk through each of the content domains in each daily video. So the questions today are all based around giving and explaining the meaning of words in context. So let's take a look at what that actually means. So 2A, these are the skills and strategies that you are going to be thinking about. We know that the easiest of all of these skills is to replace the word. We know that we can do that by thinking about if there are any synonyms or antonyms that would fit. Now, reading around the word is also going to be really, really, really helpful. So my advice to you is stop, think, have I heard this word before? Do I know what this word means? Can I define it? If you can't, then you go back to reading that whole sentence again. Put that word inside of the sentence and then think, how do the words around it give me a picture of what the word means? When you get to that point, think, do I know any synonyms? Do I know the opposite then of that as well? Do you know any antonyms? And then when you think that you've got that synonym, reread the line of the text with this new word in it. That will be really helpful in answering the questions. So, back to the extract. I'm going to read it aloud, and the 2A questions that you're going to answer today are going to be taken from this extract. Please remember that it is not cheating to go back and look at the extract. Just as you would always do under any other circumstance, you'd have the extract next to you. So please do make sure that you've either paused the video, so your screen has it on. You can split your screen to do half work and half watching the video, or on the document that you've got uploaded to Teams, it will actually have the extract on one of the sheets. If you're working on paper, you've also got it on paper, but please make sure you have it side by side. So here we go, reading this beautiful book, The Island at the End of Everything. There are some places that you would not want to go. Even if I told you that we have oceans clear and blue as summer skies, filled with sea turtles and dolphins, or forest-covered hills lush with birds that call through the air, thick with warmth. Even if you knew how beautiful the quiet is here, clean and fresh as a glass bell ringing. But nobody comes here because they want to. My nana told me that this is how they brought her, but she says it's always the same, no matter who you are or where you come from. From your house, you travel on horse or by foot, then on a boat. The men who row it cover their noses and mouths with cloths stuffed with herbs so they don't have to share your breath. They will not help you on the boat, although your head aches, and 2 weeks ago your legs began to hurt, then to numb. Maybe you stumble towards them and they duck. They would rather you rolled over their backs and into the sea than touch you. If you need, rewind the video, go back and listen to that again so that you can hear it all again. If you want, pause the video now and then independently read it to yourself. I would recommend that you read it aloud if you can, if you've got a quiet space to do that at home. It's always better to hear it in order to aid your comprehension than it is to just read it silently. So that's your extract, the really important part that you're going to be needing to answer the questions today. So here are your questions. Now there are only 5, but I want you to take the time to truly think about each of the answers. If you've got a paper pack, you can always do what we would do in a lesson and then write all around it, scribble all over it, annotate it and monitor it. You can also make some notes on Teams as well if you'd like to do that before you answer the questions. So when you're ready to answer the questions, this is question 1. Give 2 examples of what you find out about the island from the group of words, forest-covered hills lush with birds that call through the air thick with warmth. For this question, you are only taking the bit of the text that's in the quotation marks. So the only words that you need to think about are forest-covered hills lush with birds that call through the air thick with warmth. And the task is to give 2 examples of what you find out about the island from those words. Question 2, find and copy 2 phrases that show that the island is full of life. Now it says the word phrases, and we know that this means a collection of words. There may be clauses, there may be a verb in there as well, but you are taking 2 groups of words that prove to your reader that the island is full of life. Find and copy means I am picking it up out of the text and writing it down. Please do not use your own words. If you want to use quotation marks, please do. Question 3. What does the word stumble tell you about the writer's movements? So this is a question that requires you to put it into your own words. You are not going to find the answer in the text here. You need to think all about that word stumble. Be Vernon the visualizer. Picture that word in your head. Stand up and act it out if you need to. Obviously be careful. And use that to help you. Question 4. What does the word always suggest about how people are brought to the island? So you again are only focusing on the word always. Think about the word class of this word. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? And then use that information to help you understand how people are brought to the island. Question 5. Find 2 examples of vocabulary that tell you that the weather on the island is pleasant. Now this doesn't state words or phrases or clauses, so you can use a word and that would give you the right answer, or you can use a phrase and that would give you the right answer, or clauses. My advice would be find the minimum amount. So if you can find a word for both examples, please don't overcomplicate it. So those are your questions. Feel free to rewind the video and watch that again if you need to. Please refer at all times to the extract. Now I'm going to pause the video. I'd like you to pause the video here because it's now time for you to independently have a go at answering those questions. Once you've independently answered those questions, and please do be honest and please do independently have a go, then you can press play again and then you'll be able to hear the explanation of the answers. So good luck, don't rush, take your time, refer back to the extract at all points. Right then, so you should have had enough time to have answered all of those questions, to have reread the extract and thought about the 2A answers. So let's start to go through those answers. Let's see if you've got the right answers. Okay, so question 1 was about 2 examples of what you find out about the island from the groups of words, forest-covered hills, lush with birds that call through the air thick with warmth. Now, if you are a superstar, you'll have realised that there weren't only 2 examples. There were many more than that, but you just needed to provide 2. For the purpose of this video and the explanation, just as we would do in school, we'd go through every possible answer. So there are 6. That's what I've come up with, 6. So the first thing that I learn is that the island is covered in forests. I get that from the words forest-covered hills, and those hills are on the island. The second thing that I find out about the island is that the forests on the island cover hills. Forest covered hills. If I picture that in my head and I vern in it, I see that there's a hill with a forest on it. So the forest on the island covers the hills. 3, the forests are full of birds. Now this one is harder to get to the answer because the word lush is the word that tells me that it is full. The word lush doesn't mean, oh, brilliant, delicious. It means full of birds, overflowing, brimming with birds. Possible answer 4. The birds make noises such as calling. The birds that call through the air tells me that. Possible answer 5. The air on the island feels heavy or humid, and I get that from the phrase air thick with warmth. It's that thickness of the air. And finally, the possible answer that you could have thought of is the air on the island is extremely warm, and obviously I'd hope that you'd have seen that from the words air is thick with warmth. So well done if you got 2 of those possible answers. Well done if you went as far as to think of as many as you possibly could. That's excellent use of your reading skills. Now, question 2. Find and copy 2 phrases that show that the island is full of life. So there are only 2 that I came up with, and I put them in quotation marks. So I've literally picked them up out the text and written them word for word. Obviously my spelling is going to be perfect because I am just copying. So, number 1, it says, oceans clear and blue as summer skies, filled with sea turtles and dolphins. The word filled is really the word that shows me there's lots of, and then the sea turtles and dolphins shows me life. So if you've just written filled with sea turtles and dolphins, you can also give yourself a nice pat on the back for getting the answer right there. Second is forest covered hills lush with birds. As I mentioned in question 1, the word lush means filled, brimming with, full of. So that gives me the second bit of life. So my life is my sea turtles and dolphins as 1, and birds 2. There's no mention of any other creature that is alive there. You could potentially obviously class forests as life as well, but that teams up with birds, which is why there's not a third option, because we know that trees and plants are also alive. Number 3. What does the word stumble tell you about the writer's movements? So I don't need to start it by saying the word stumble tells me. I can just go straight into my answer. And my answer is the writer is unsteady on their feet and cannot hold themselves up properly. They are almost falling or tripping. So that's a really good answer there. The writer's movements, they are uncertain. They are unsteady. And the main part of your answer needs to focus on that. You only stumble when you are on your way to falling, and therefore you cannot keep yourself upright properly, hence the word unsteady. What does the word always suggest about how people are brought to the island? So always is an adverb. I hope you would have remembered that. It tells me how they are brought being the verb. So they are brought to the island in a consistent way. The word always means it's always the same. It never changes. So that's where the word consistent comes in. If you are consistent in doing something, you don't change the way you do it. So they are always brought in the same way. The way that they are brought never changes. As long as your answer has something about it's the same constantly, there's never a difference. It never changes. You would have got that right. Now, question 5 is find 2 examples of vocabulary that tell you that the weather on the island is pleasant. And those 2 examples are summer skies. So I've used the word summer there to show it's pleasant. I could have just put summer. I'm sure I'd have been fine with that. And then air thick with warmth. So we can have the word warmth there as well. I cannot mention the dolphins in the sea, in the clear sea, because that's not about the weather. That's about the environment, about the sea being pleasant. So I can't have